So I'm trying to come up with a good explanation or justification really for why I would drive 50 hours into the Midwest to be an extra in a film that probably nobody will ever see. And I don't have a good reason, but I do have a good story. So here's what happened. Years and years ago, I was really into filmmaking.
You look awesome. I'm Tim,
What's your position in the movie?
co-director with Ezra Proach.
And I would make these, films, these music videos and short films. I would enter them into film festivals and stuff. All Christian film festivals. And as I would sit there, I would watch these other Christian films that people were making, and I think it was just generally understood that they were cheesy. And if you've never gone down the Christian film rabbit hole, it's worth the exploration.
Inflation is running high that some alien force from outside our system has declared war on our planet.
I was kind of at that moment, really, man, I wish that people would just mix better storytelling with actual good filmmaking, and just wasn't happening. Except for this one film that I saw, it seemed like the filmmaker really kind of got that vision. They had this good storytelling, but also this good, interesting, creative filmmaking. So I was like, that's cool. Who is this? I want to be a part of whatever project they're doing next. And so they announced that they were making a film, another film, and it was going to be this dystopian, futuristic, kind of interesting film. And so I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I want to be a part of this. So eventually the project just kind of stalled out. They didn't get funding. The script needed rewrites and all of this stuff, so it just never really got off the ground. So years went by, COVID happened, I got married, we moved overseas, I grew my hair out, I cut it, the whole thing. And I just kind of forgot about this project and, lost interest in kind of Christian filmmaking in general. I've got a whole bunch of thoughts about Christian filmmaking. That'll be a whole separate video that I want to make. Eventually, I heard that they finally got funding and the script was ready and they were actually going into production, which is a huge step for filmmaking because most things just kind of die in the process. I emailed them. I was like, dude, I've been wanting to be a part of this project for years. What can I do to help? And they were like, yeah, you want to be an extra? We've got a special role, secret agent number 12. And I was like, yeah, let's totally do that. And so they sent me a date and they were like, be here at this time or whatever. And I was like, yeah, man, that's a long drive from South Texas to the Midwest. Is this worth it? It would be an interesting adventure at the very least. So I did all the math. If I slept in my car, then I could save this much money. And if I, left at this time, I wouldn't have to miss too much work. And so, so a Thursday night, I pack up the car. I had taken out the back seat and built this platform back there and put some blankets down in my sleeping bag. And I was like, I'm just gonna sleep in the car. So I take off at 8 p.m. on a Thursday and I just drive through the night. I pull over a couple times and sleep. 19 hours and 23 minutes. If you can see that at all. 812 miles. My back's getting a little sore. I think I've had one too many energy drinks, but I'm feeling good. But eventually, make it all the way there. I had arranged on Hip Camp to just park at somebody's farm and just sleep there. I am legitimately in the middle of nowhere. So do I just go down this here dirt road? I don't know if this is the right place or not, but I'm going to sleep at these people's house regardless. And so I just kind of pull in and I roll, put my sleeping bag down and I just go to sleep. And wake up the next day. Well, good morning to me. I'm on a farm. I think I slept on the right farm, but there's no guarantee. And the farmer's there, and I'm like, yeah, am I at the right spot? They're like, yeah, where's your tent? I'm like, no, I'm just sleeping in the car. And they're like, oh, okay. And so I'm like, is there a shower or something? And they're like, yeah, come over here. It's in the barn. I'm expecting a shower. they have a 5-gallon bucket, and he fills it up with water and puts a heating coil in there. And he's like, yeah, well, I got this shower head. It's like a mobile shower head that he just put one end in the battery powered end into the water, and then you just spray yourself down. And I'm like thinking in my head, this is a horse shower. like I'm in a barn taking a horse shower. This is awesome. Like that's the adventure that I came for.
That was a delicious shower. And not just because I haven't taken a shower in days, but the water was actually hot, and the barn ambience, it was nice actually. So yeah, I give it like 2.5 out of 5.
So finish up my horse shower, go to a coffee shop, work for a little while, and then the time comes because we're doing the shoots at night. So the evening comes, I go to this particular spot, and they're like, oh yeah, like cool, glad you're here. Like go over here, put on your outfit. Like we're gonna start shooting in a little bit. Super cool, like out at this wedding venue, there was like these cornfields out there, and they were shooting a scene where all these secret agents are chasing down this guy. And so I was one of like 20 secret agents or something, and we're all just like running through this field. It was a blast. I got to meet a lot of fun people. So go back to my farm, go to sleep, wake up the next day, take another horse shower, cook some pancakes on a little griddle and a little camping stove that I had, and then go and get some work done at a coffee shop. Go back for day 2 of shooting. So I show up and we do the shoot, and they gave me like a fake gun, and I got to be a part of like this squad, and we're like going around corners and stuff, and like you have to chase this guy or whatever. Super fun. I had so much fun doing that. And so they wrap, that's a wrap for me, and they're like, okay, we don't need the extras anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. So like I'm gonna go back home. They're like, to Texas? Like, yeah, I'm just gonna drive home tonight. And they're like, cool, like thanks for coming. Like really confused them why the heck I drove from Texas. And so yeah, jump in the car. It's like 2 a.m. Just start driving towards Texas. Pull over, take a little nap, wake up, keep driving. And somewhere around Arkansas, I was like, man, what is this a good idea? Like I spent all this time, and I drove all this distance, and I'm really tired, and like I was barely there for 2 days, and I've been spending like 5 days driving. I just don't know if this is worth it. So it was at that moment that I saw a sign from God. It was from the Arkansas Highway Department actually, and it said Johnny Cash childhood home. And I was like, no way, like I love Johnny Cash. So somewhere in Arkansas, I was feeling a little down, and I was like, you know what? This was a really long drive. Was this really worth it? I didn't really meet that many people. I was there for 2 days. I've been driving for like 4 days. I just don't know if this was worth it. And it was at that moment that I got a sign from God. Well, not actually from God. It was from the Arkansas Highway Department. But the sign read, Johnny Cash childhood home. And I was like, no way. Like I've been reading his autobiography, and like I love Johnny Cash, and I'm like, I've got to go see this. So I pull off the exit, and I go down a dirt road, and then I go down another dirt road, and like just in the middle of this field, Johnny Cash is home. And I'm like, what the heck? And like I had read like this was the home where they were trying to farm this just horrible land, and they spent all day just breaking rocks because it was just the rockiest, worst land to try and farm. And so I'm like looking at this, I'm like, wow, like this is awesome. Like I'm here at the house. And you know what? I could try and tie that in somehow. Like, Johnny Cash, he had really hard times. Like I'm having a hard time driving here right now. And it's like, okay, never mind. It was just interesting. Very cool experience. So the rest of the drive was uneventful. I did almost get caught in a tornado in East Texas. I made it home safely, obviously. But I've been thinking a little bit about this, and this has now been over a year since I went on this adventure. And I'm still trying to like justify it in my head, like why would I drive for like 4 days to spend 2 days shooting in this, as an extra on this project? And I really don't have a good excuse except for I thought it would be a fun adventure, and it was. And I think that's kind of the philosophy that I'm trying to take more in life is, you know, take time to go on adventures, to have experiences. And, you know, that weekend I might have gone around and, you know, worked on house projects or scrolled on Instagram or watched a movie or whatever. But instead, you know, I gotta go do this very interesting thing. I gotta meet a ton of interesting people. I gotta see some interesting things. And so I think in that sense, the trip was totally worth it. That's the story that I got out of the trip. And maybe that is why the trip was worth it. I don't know. I'm not gonna try and justify it. Just enjoy the story. I'm not good at outros, as is usual, so that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it.